Right, really quick live stream. Just get that camera, it doesn't seem straight. Bit all over the place. Don't know if that's better. Let me know. Very quick live stream. And this is actually really for people in North Down in Bangor. And we've had, I think, a week off, and it's time to get back at it. It's time to stick to the plan. So tomorrow night, just chatting to the team earlier on, 7 o'clock, we'll be down there outside the Marine Court Hotel for the longest. Hi Jenny, for the longest hotel protest in the UK, without a shadow of a doubt. I think we're coming up to 3 years, and obviously, as we know, the great news is the hotel's closing in February. That's the good news. The bad news is the migrants aren't getting deported; they're getting moved, and that's what we need to look at once the hotel closes. I think we'll still meet outside the hotel because it's a good meeting point. But what we certainly need to do. Wow, look at all the people piling in there. That's amazing. I didn't even announce this one. This is just a complete ad hoc, off the cuff. And by the way, if you're in North Down, share this. Share it in any of the North Down groups, because obviously we want to get a bit of impetus going. Because once this hotel closes down, it doesn't solve the problem. It just moves the problem somewhere to a different part of town, or maybe it's to a different town in our area. So we've got to be aware that the problem isn't going away, it's just being shifted. And we need to find out where it's been shifted to and what's going on. But obviously, we all know the hotel's closing at the end of February. If it doesn't close, well then that's a whole other problem that we'll have to look at if that's the case. So that's the hotel. So we'll be back down there Friday. We're going to keep going until it closes. Then we're going to have a review. We're going to decide on what we're going to do next. We have a plan. I'm not going to put the plan out publicly just yet, but people that go down on a Friday night have a good idea what the plan is. So the idea is we stick to the plan. And that's not just for the hotel protest. I mean, I think everybody that goes down there on a Friday night, they're sensible people. They go down there with the best intentions, and they can conduct themselves in an exemplary way. We don't get people coming down there drunk, falling over drunk, and causing all sorts of problems and harassing people. We basically, everybody is very, very disciplined and very, very well behaved, and that's what we're gonna keep it like that, because that's how we've won, and we have won. The hotel's closing. And Alex Easton, I was speaking to Alex today. Alex told me if it wasn't for our protests, that hotel would not have closed. That hotel would not have been in a situation where it only had women in it. And of course, when they moved the women into it, I think they probably thought, well, these people are not gonna protest against women. So we'll put women in there, hoping that would close the protest down. We were never protesting against the residents in the hotels. We don't want them there, but that wasn't the purpose of the protest, is to change government policy. And that's happened. So it's been successful. It's been extremely successful, extremely peaceful, extremely successful. No messing about. Just very, very, a very well run and well managed protest. So that's great. So that's that. We're going to be back there next Friday. Sorry, next Friday. We're going to be back there tomorrow night, 2nd of January. Usual time, usual place, peaceful protest, legal protest, legitimate protest, and we're going to keep the pressure on. And then, obviously, when things change, then we'll change the way that we're operating. But we'll always be operating within the law, and we will always do peacefully. We'll always do peacefully and respectfully. So that's the protest. The other thing is Advance UK. I know there's a lot of people in North Down have joined Advance UK. I believe it's in the region of 100 or somewhere around that. That's figures that I've been given, and it could be more than that now. And also, we've got a little WhatsApp group with about 20 people in it. If you're a member of Advance UK and you want to join that WhatsApp group, now at the minute there's nothing really happening in the WhatsApp group. We're setting it up to be ready when we get the orders from Ben and the leadership team. Then we will be ready to move. Obviously, we can do things in the meantime, like leafleting and all sorts of stuff. But the stronger we get Advance UK in North Down. And again, a lot of this is just North Down stuff. So if you're not from North Down, you'll be kind of tuned out at the minute. But don't worry, I'm going to talk about the bigger picture in a minute. The Advanced UK stuff in North Down, we basically, I think the more people we can get joining the party, the better, and the more people we can get in that WhatsApp group, the better as well. So that when we do start looking to run candidates, looking to do political stuff, there's going to be policy updates. I think Ben said on his New Year's broadcast that there's going to be policy updates and other updates during the week. I know there's a lot of exciting stuff happening in the background. And again, we've got to make Advance very attractive for local politicians to say, do you know what? I'm done with the DUP, done with the TUV, I'm done with the UUP, the Alliance Party. You know, I want to join a real party that's actually going to make change. Obviously, I wouldn't think we get too many people from the UUP or the Alliance Party, but there's people that we need to get involved in Advance UK, who, yeah, who would be a great asset. Who would be a great asset. Some of them have never been involved in politics. Some of them have been in politics for a long time. So I just think we need to do our bit and be evangelists for Advance UK. The other thing is, obviously, and I talk about this a lot, and I'm going to keep talking about it. There's only a political solution in terms of how we're going to win this. Don't get me wrong. You know, I am into doing demos, and I'm into doing all sorts of different protests. You know, 16th of May is going to be absolutely massive. It's going to be the biggest protest, the biggest patriotic protest probably the world has ever seen. It's going to be absolutely huge. But the only thing that will make change is politics in terms of changing the governance of the United Kingdom. And that's why we need to make sure we're all registered to vote. So this isn't just for North Down now. This is going right the way across the board. So we've done the little bit of housekeeping for North Down. There'll be a protest tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at the Marine Court Hotel. But the rest of the stuff basically is about what we do nationally. So like I say, 16th of May, Unite the Kingdom. It's FA Cup Day in London as well. The town's going to be absolutely hiving. Please get there. Please get to London for the 16th of May. But also, it's really important, and this is more important probably in a political sense, because there's other stuff that's even more important than politics. But in a political sense, it's absolutely vital that if you're in Advance UK, that you are registered to vote. So you're on the electoral register. Because if you're not, you can't have any influence. You can't just turn up at a polling booth and vote. You need to register to vote. The other thing you need to do, you think I was drunk, wouldn't you? The way I'm slurring on words, I'm not. I'm just really tired. I haven't had a drink for a long while. But what we want you to do is register to vote, and also, if you haven't joined Advance UK and you're anywhere else in the country outside of where we are, because we want everyone in North Down to join, but anywhere in the country, join Advance UK, and you've seen it. You know, if someone can pop the link in there, that'd be great. So that's the political stuff. That's the demo stuff taken care of. There's other stuff that I'm going to talk about as well, and I've been pushing this for the past few days, but I'm going to continue to push it. And it is the pledge. The pledge is the ideology behind any political movement that's going to work in this country. I've seen what's been going on the last few days, and again, I'm not being critical of the people that have given them a platform. All I'm saying is I wouldn't have done it. You know, I think it's, you know, if you give someone like Steve Laws a platform, you're gonna create a lot of energy, a lot of publicity for ideas that, one, are never going to work. They're morally wrong. You can't justify the ideas that Steve Laws has. They're crazy ideas. You know, I mean, just crazy. If you listen to him, I was just thinking, that's a madman. But the problem is, a lot of young, impressionable people will buy into those ideas and think that that's the solution to the problems that the country faces. The country faces a multitude of problems. Demographics is one of them. The economy is another. Net zero is another. The Islamisation of the UK is, I think, the biggest threat that we face in the medium term. There's all sorts of other things going wrong as well. There's all sorts of corruption, and what we need is a political party that's going to come in and change all that. Now, the ethno-nats, and I don't even know why I'm talking about them because there's not much point in talking about, but, you know, don't buy into their garbage, okay? I am a proud Englishman with Scottish and Irish blood. I didn't know I had Scottish and Irish blood until 2 weeks ago, but I'm a proud Englishman with Scottish and Irish blood. My family's blood is literally in the soil, and that means a lot to me. And is it important that we defend the English, the Scottish, the Irish, the Welsh, and the Ulster Scots, Northern Irish? Yes, absolutely. All of those identities are vitally important. They are the indigenous people of the British Isles, and they should be protected. There shouldn't be a situation where they become a minority in their own country. I agree with all of that. But the nonsense about starting to deport people on the grounds of ethnicity is just that. It is absolute, complete nonsense. The problem would never have happened. And I'm going to say this, and this is going to be controversial. It's going to hack a whole lot of people off. And it's not meant as an attack on any women, okay? I want to say that first before I say this, because it's not, it would never have, these things would never have happened if the government hadn't legislated for this in 1968. And again, you all know my story. If you follow my channel, I'm adopted. I've just recently found my adoptive mother, who, you know, again, has lived with the burden of having given a child up at a young age. Now, the burden that women have lived with that have had abortions is way heavier than that, because they can never hope for a reconciliation with that child that was aborted. Okay, and one of the reasons I'm so against abortion is, if I'd have been conceived in the mid-70s, you know, who knows, my mother may have had an abortion because that was socially acceptable then, right? So in the 60s, if you had a kid that you didn't want, you went full term and you had the child adopted, which was the right thing to do, by the way. Absolutely the right thing to do. Now, people talk about demographics and people talk about replacement. If this state, and I blame the state for this, because when the state pushes an agenda, and remember what the state always says, oh, it's only going to be the hard cases. It's only going to be, you know, women that have conceived as a result of the R word. Again, we can't say it because of the YouTube's ridiculous censorship, but it's only going to be people who've got children with profound disabilities that won't live. It's only going to be mothers who basically their lives are threatened if they have the child. And unfortunately, it ended up completely, well, not the opposite of that, but those boundaries were completely pushed to ridiculous extremes, where you had women saying, well, look, if I have this baby, it's going to affect my mental health. Okay, well, that's okay. Have an abortion then. And abortion became too easy in GB, in Great Britain. And then Ireland, that was protected from abortion for years, decided they would take the plunge as well. And isn't it strange that after these two evils are legislated for by our respective governments, and remember, you know, I think it was Stella Creasy, this woman, if you can call her that, this Labour MP, who pushed for abortion in Northern Ireland. I think she took a private member's bill. I can't remember, but I know she was involved in it, right? And this was pushed upon Northern Ireland without the consent of the people of Northern Ireland, abortion in Northern Ireland. But in England, last time I checked, it was 8 million abortions since 1968. And again, I say this very strongly. I am not attacking the women that went through the pain of that and went through those dreadful procedures and are living with the guilt of that. I don't want to pour more guilt on women that have gone through that. I really don't, and I mean that sincerely. I blame the government for legislating for it, because I'm adopted. I've had a great life. If I'd have been conceived 10 years later, would I have made it out the womb? That's a very, very serious question, and it's not a judgment on anybody or anything. My judgment is against the government that passed those legislations, which was, again, I think a Labour government in the late 1960s. I believe it was Roy Jenkins, could be wrong, who was the man responsible for the permissive society. I'm just going to check some of the chats here, guys. Just yeah, and we've got this new law, the new law where, and again, fact check me on this, guys. Okay, fact check me when I say something. Fact check me on it, just in case I get it wrong, because I'm doing a live stream. I don't have the information to hand, and I'm doing a lot. Well, I'm doing everything from memory. Okay, but I think it was Lord Faulkner who used to be the was Blair's Attorney General. I think I'm right in this. In the House of Lords, was asking, could women under the new euthanasia legislation, this is the assisted suicide, which is it used to be called murder in the old days, okay? The assisted suicide bill, so called, the murder bill. Could women be euthanized up to 9 months in their pregnancy? That was a serious question that man put down, and he was asking that because he wanted that to happen, as far as I know. But fact check me on that. But that was a couple of weeks before recess. So not only have they murdered millions of babies, people talk about genocide. Well, guess what? Killing lots and lots of working class babies from all racial backgrounds in the UK sounds pretty much like a genocide to me. It's very convenient, isn't it? Get rid of the problem of feral youth, get rid of the problem of delinquency. Yeah, just don't let them make it out of the womb, eh? And like I say, I am not attacking women that's had abortions. Not at all. Because women that have had abortions, in the same way women that have given up their babies for adoption, they need care, they need love, they need counselling, they need healing, they need forgiveness. But they've got to. The other thing is they've got to admit that what they did was wrong. Yeah, they've got to repent. But when people talk about demographics and people talk about replacement, if those 8 million babies were alive, we wouldn't have needed to bring 8 million Muslims in. It's just as simple as that, guys. It's as plain and simple as that. And that's down to a lack of morality. So I like I like Ben Habib's idea. If you're young enough, and his idea is bonk for Britain. Okay, so he wants everybody of breeding age to start breeding. And I think that's a good idea. The indigenous Brits, if you're worried about demographics, start having more babies. I too, okay, maybe we could have had more, but well, I didn't have to personally, obviously, because that would be a very, very strange thing for a man to have a baby, even though some people believe men can have babies in this day and age. But me and my wife had two children who have now between them had 3 grandchildren. So we're doing our bit. We're doing our bit to rebuild the population. But of course, the ethno-nats, because one of my grandchildren's mixed race, the ethno-nats wouldn't even let the child into the country. And that's my point about the ethno-nat arguments. The idea that you can just deport millions upon millions of people. How are you going to do that? Okay, think about how difficult it's been for Trump to do what he's doing. Okay, and by the way, I am absolutely 100% up for mass deportation of terrorists, of grooming gangs, of people who have come into this country, hate this country, and want to destroy it. Get them out. Scroungers, dole hacks, layabouts, thieves, murderers, groomers, gone. All of them, gone. And that needs to be done. People that's come in here illegally, you're gone. I'm all over that. And even that, when you do a little bit of work on it, and you look at what would be needed in terms of manpower and how long it would take to deport millions of people, planes would just be going all the time. So I'm absolutely for it, and I think we should do it. But what I'm not for is the evil, and it is evil, the evil ethno argument that mixed race children get deported, that our Jewish friends get deported, that our West Indian friends get deported, that our Sierra Leonean, Nigerian friends get deported, the ones that have actually come and contributed. It is ridiculous. It is lunacy. Are the problems with immigration? 100%. Biggest problem the British working class face, without a shadow of a doubt. Are the problems with silos and ghettos from the religion of peace? Are the Diabandi ghettos and Barelvi ghettos right the way throughout this country a problem? 100%. Do extremist Preachers in the mosques need to be deported? Yes, absolutely. So all of those things. Do we need to stop the boats? Absolutely. Do we need to stop the flights with people coming on tourist visas? Absolutely. We need everything beefed up. Do we need to put them in internment camps until we return them to where they come from? Yes. Every single illegal migrant, in my opinion, should be put in an internment camp. Now, this is just my opinion. This isn't policy of any political party. This is just what I would do. Okay? But to do that, you would need a massively just to do what I want, which is get rid of the bad people. I don't want to get rid of people on the terms of the colour of their skin. You know, because Albanians look pretty white, and there's a lot of Albanians that are wrong uns. There's a lot of Romas that has caused a lot of problems in Northern Ireland. They, well, they look a bit like us. So it's not even what people look like, it's what they do. It's what they do. And we cannot have our communities being completely destroyed. So there's two ideas. Young people, breed, have babies. Young women, don't have abortions. Have your baby, whether you look after it yourself or whether you put it up for adoption. That baby will be a precious, could be a precious contribution to society and to the country. And yeah, that's what we need to do on that issue. So again, the ethno argument, it's very flawed. It's very dangerous rhetoric. It's going to make the fact that man has been given so much oxygen of publicity, I find strange. The Andrew Gold thing has really stumped me, because I watch a lot of Andrew Gold's podcasts, right, and I like his output, but for some reason he didn't really challenge, as far as I could see. And again, I paid attention as closely as I could because I find Steve Laws intensely boring, but I couldn't see any real challenges going in. You know, what's the actual logistics, the mechanics, the cost? Where's the manpower coming on? Is the military going to do it? Do you need to recruit new regiments? How do you deal with the if you do see Steve Law's plan? This is the Steve Law's plan, where everybody goes, right? How do you do that without violence? How do you do that without it provoking absolute chaos and anarchy on the streets? There's no answers for any of those questions, and I think Andrew Gold pushed back a little bit on that, but not a massive amount. Okay, so stop giving idiots publicity on big channels. You might get a few extra clicks, but there's a bigger picture here, you see, and this is where I get very worried that a lot of people, okay, Andrew Gold's channel's a business, right? I get it. He's got to make money. But making money with something that will destabilize the country? Because if I was a West Indian lad thinking about coming to one of our demos, I'd be going, how many of these people that go to these demos think like this? Especially if they'll have dipped into the comments and seen the comments. And the other thing is, if you're a young white lad and you're hacked off with everything that's going on in your country, and you see someone like Laws coming out with these very simplistic, pound shop politics solutions, which are never going to work, but they sound good. I love my country. Well, do you know what? I don't know whether I don't know whether Laws has ever been in the military. I think somebody said he was members in the RAF, which doesn't really count unless he's a fighter pilot, or in the RAF regiment. But who knows? I don't know whether he was in the military, but if someone could let me know about that, that'd be interesting to know. But the truth is, his solutions are just not going to work, and they can be ripped apart in seconds. But I didn't see Andrew Gold pushing back hard enough against him, and maybe he was rattled because he was just. I mean, this guy was just rude, Said to Andrew Gold, "You're not English. You're going." Now, I've got a lot of Jewish friends, right? They don't give me any money, by the way. They're just my friends, okay? I like them. I like the company. They're good people. They're funny. They share the same sense of humour with me. I think it's because of what happens in Israel. When something happens in Israel, most Jewish people in the UK feel extremely hurt when something happens in Israel, and it's a very similar situation to what we had in Northern Ireland when there's a terrorist atrocity. The whole country feels it. So I've always had Jewish friends. just the way it is. And I do not like seeing them getting victimized by a numbskull, a low IQ knuckle dragger like Steve Laws. And to blame the Jews for everything that's going on in the country is just absolutely preposterous. And I hate anti-Semitism. I always have, and I've always been a Zionist because I read the Bible. And do you know what? When you read the Bible, I think it's very difficult to read the Bible unless you do a lot of theological gymnastics, to read the Bible and come away saying, actually, I pretty much think that God has given the Hebrew people, the Jewish people, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that little strip of land there. Now, that's different to salvation. Every single Jew needs to get saved in the same way that every single Christian needs to get saved. They need to put the faith in Jesus Christ. And that's a stumbling block for them. That the Bible says that too. But the Bible also says that the veil will be taken away, and the Bible also says that all Israel will be saved, that there will be a great revival among the Jewish people, but they'll still get saved by faith in the same way everybody else does. I know I'm going massively off on tangents here, but I'm just frustrated with what I'm seeing. The other thing is I'm frustrated with the lack of commitment to Advance UK by a lot of people in the movement. Okay? Most people, I don't understand why people are not supporting Advance UK, these big YouTubers and these people with big platforms. They should be shouting it from the rooftops, because Advance UK have been banned from the airways because they supported Tommy and because Ben came to the Unite the Kingdom demo. That's why they've been banned. That's what I believe. I can't see any other reason. And to me, everybody that's in the Tommy movement, everybody that goes to those demos and speaks, should be supporting Advance UK. And I'm going to touch on another thing. You know, I saw a video, somebody sent me a video by Connor Tomlinson, where he was talking about ethno-nationalism, and he's a very articulate young man. I've got a lot of respect for him, or I did, until he completely misrepresented what civic nationalism is. Because civic nationalism is not being a liberal. That might be Andrew Gold's civic nationalism, but it's not my civic nationalism. It's not Tommy Robinson's civic nationalism. It's not Advance UK's civic nationalism. And I think Ben's on record, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, I think Ben's on record and saying he's going to send people back. He's going to deport people in a way that will make a difference. I think he said that in different interviews. He's talked very strongly about stopping the boats. I'm 100% committed to getting people out of the country that shouldn't be here. Okay? So there's a lot of people playing silly games and dangerous games, in my opinion, with this. I've, again, put on record there. I believe, the English, the Scottish, the Welsh and the Irish are an indigenous people, a national identity, without a shadow of a doubt. But do I believe that John Barnes is English? Yes, I do. Do I believe that a black lad that's born in England and loves the country, puts on an England shirt and plays for England and plays proudly for England, is English? I think if he's born in England and he wants to play for England and he's proud of England, he's a patriot, yes, he is English. Do I believe our friend Amit Singh that goes to the Unite the Kingdom demos, that's a close associate of Tommy, is English? Absolutely. He's an English Sikh. I don't see a problem with any of that. But the idea of English people, the descendants of the original Britons, the descendants of the Romans that came and invaded us in, was it 55 BC, the descendants of the Anglo-Saxons that invaded us around 500 AD, the descendants of the Norman conquest that came into the country in 1066, the descendants of the Vikings, the Scots that came down and invaded the English, and the Welsh and the Irish, that mix of the people of the British Isles, do I believe they're the indigenous people? Yes, I do. Because they've been settled for a very long time, for over 1,000 years, or coming up to 1,000 years. So they are the settled British people. But do I believe that people could come in from other countries, integrate and join our community and become Christian and even if they don't become Christian, share Christian values and integrate into our society. Yes, I do believe that because that's worked. There is one demographic that that doesn't apply to. Okay? And yes, there have been problems with other people from different demographics, but the major threat to the UK is coming from the religion of peace. The major threat to the UK is coming from MB, JI, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should, because I've talked about this enough, from Deobandi clerics, from Barelvi fanatics, from the weaponization of the Muslim vote. That's where the threat to the country is coming from. So it's not coming from my mate that I serve with, I'm not going to say his name, who was actually from Somalia, or his parents were from Somalia. The threat's not coming from him because he was a British patriot. He loved going out partying with the lads when we were serving, and was just as British as any of us. And he put his life on the line, and he served his country, and he served it with pride and with distinction. And what I'm saying there is not a contradiction, because some people are saying, well, you believe that there's an indigenous English. Yes, I do believe there's a race called the English, or there's an ethnicity called the English. Of course I do, and they've been settled, and they should be respected and are not treated with contempt like they are by the elites, by the elites. But I absolutely do not believe that we should start chucking out our friends and our neighbours because you know they came back to the country when Oliver Cromwell let the Jews back in. That is just the most nonsensical, absolute idiocy that I've ever heard. And actually, the reason that and there's a lot of Christians I know in this chat, the reason that Oliver Cromwell let the Jews back into England was because he was advised by now John Owen was definitely one of his advisors, and John Owen had a very strong opinion, a very strong theological opinion that the Jewish people were still God's elect. They were disobedient to God because they rejected Christ, but God had a plan for the Jewish people. The plan was eventually to repopulate Israel, and that is one of the drivers why John Owen lobbied Oliver Cromwell to bring the Jews back to the United Kingdom. Okay, so they're just these are just the cold hard facts of what we're looking at. So again, I mean, I don't want to really talk too much about the ethno-art thing because it's so ridiculous, but people are buying into it. People are buying into it. And if you want a good ideology, go to this website that I'm going to give you now. Okay, go to thepledge.org.uk. Thepledge.org.uk. If someone could put that in the chat, thepledge.org.uk. If you want to have a look at what is the correct ideology, I believe, for nationalists to have, for patriots to have, for civic nationalists to have, for Christian nationalists to have, it's in the pledge. And there's nothing in there that any right-minded person could disagree with. Nothing at all. Okay? So let's have a look at what's going on the chat. What's going on? Has the chat stopped? Can't make posts. Oh, there we go. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Bess. Brilliant. Pledge.org.uk. Go and have a look at that. That's our ideology. That's what we believe. And I believe a lot of people are basically, for whatever reason, their eyes off the ball, because these are the things that matter. Advance UK, register to vote, get right with God, get yourselves fit, get yourselves focused, look after your families. Okay, they're the important things. Obviously, go to United the Kingdom demo on the 16th of May. But all the other stuff is distractions and smoke screens. And obviously, the other one is actually, Best, could you put UK Freedom Movement in there as well? So it's, in fact, I'll get UK Freedom Movement. Right, where are we? Do you know what? Someone was talking about flags and badges. Do you know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea to get t-shirts saying "I've signed the pledge." Mike, try and get them. We'll try and get a really cool design. You know, big massive "I've signed the pledge" on the back of the t-shirt with the domain, so that when everybody goes in May with all the t-shirts with "I've signed the pledge," maybe with a big Union Jack on it or something like that. But like the all this stuff about what we believe is really really important, and the UK freedom movement is about protecting free speech, freedom of assembly. It's one of the principles of the pledge, but the UK freedom movement predates everything, because again it was started in 2018, and we had a great demo in 2018. Tommy was in prison, and football lads helped us out with it. Little team that we had together did a great job. And again, it's still going on, and we've still got the page on Facebook. But we're going to start really pushing this online. We're going to start doing videos for it. We've got a YouTube channel for it. We're going to start really, really pushing it. The other thing I'm going to do that when I come off this stream. I'm going to start another stream. I'm a glutton for punishment. And the other stream I'm going to do, I'm going to try. Now, this is really making a rod for my back here, guys. Okay. So I'm going to try to. Thanks, Lisanne, thanks for that. And again, I want to thank everybody in the comments, right? Because what I found, I can be a little bit opinionated, like I keep saying. But what I found is the people are very encouraging. If I say something that's wrong, I'll get, people will slap me down. Yeah, and quite rightly so. But what I've noticed is most people are really, really, yes, yes. Ian, you're absolutely right. Not enough people signing it. That's the only problem with the pledge. Not enough. I don't understand why everybody. We should have 1 million people on the pledge, to be honest with you. We should have 1 million people signing up to the pledge. But listen, we'll take it steady. We'll paddle our own canoe. We'll plough our own furrow. What um what other people do is entirely up to them. But I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed with the lack of support for Advance UK from a lot of people, and I'm really disappointed with this ethno nonsense. Because it is nonsense. It's absolutely idiocy. I mean, I'm not even going to name them because I don't want to give them the oxygen of publicity. But these people, you know, they're wrong. It's just as simple as that. They're just plain wrong, and I've laid out the reasons earlier on in this video why they're wrong. It's just in do your Bible studies on a dinghy in Calais. Do your Bible studies on a dinghy in Calais. Yeah, okay. Right, okay, so let's have a look. Yes, do put the pledge on your channel, Bess. Put the pledge on your channel. Right, guys, I'm going to bug out here. So tomorrow night, if you're in Northern Ireland, banger, 7 o'clock, down at the Marine Court. We've got a plan. We're not bothered about what other people are doing. Everyone's got a right to do their own thing. Everyone can do things their way. But I'm telling you now, the plan that we've got, if everybody gets behind it, it'll work. I know it will. So if everybody gets behind Advance UK, everybody gets into building their communities, building resilient communities. I was saying to my wife earlier on, I said, you know what? See, in our little town, right? We have got a very, very strong community in our town. And we got some really, really good people in our little community with all sorts of different talents. Very, very, sort of unique skill sets, right the way through the group. Some people are good at, you know, oh, I don't know. There's just loads of good people in the groups that we've got, right? And that's what we need to see replicated up and down the country. That's what needs to see replicated up and down the country. Just really good, tight groups of people that will stand for what's right. And I think what's we got there? Nigel Farage is getting in next. Well, let's wait and see. Um, let's just wait and see. Yes, let's promote this. Let's promote Bess's YouTube channel. Um, Black Best Black. Sorry, Best Black YouTube channel. Let's do it. Let's get this smashed out the ballpark. Do you know what, Glenn? I'm gonna put your comment on there, mate. Right, and I'm not having a go. Okay, but the reality of the situation is, right, that basically before the last election, when Ben was deputy leader of Reform, um, they weren't polling great. Ben led the campaign up to the election. Farage jumped in at the last minute and got elected. But Ben's now in charge of Advance UK, who's actually got more members now than Reform did when they started the election campaign in 2024. 3 years is a long time in politics. And I am absolutely convinced that Nigel will bottle it and he will not be the leader of Reform for the next election. And I'm absolutely convinced that that Advance UK can win the next election if everybody gets behind them. I know what they're doing. I know the planning. I know I don't know everything, but I've got a good idea of what they're doing, and what they're doing is absolutely mind-boggling with the resources they've got. Um, yeah, Ben is. Yeah, Glenn, so do I, mate. So do I. I really do, Glenn, because it would be great. It would be great for the country. So let's just fingers crossed. But we can do it. Um, Sunflower, do you know what? I still haven't checked my emails. I have been. My life is absolutely, and it's my own fault, right? I take too much on, but my life is chaotic. It's busy. It's exhausting, and the emails. I've got another computer just over there that's got the emails on it, and I haven't had a chance to get near it. It's just bonkers. So anyway, guys, listen, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do another video in a bit. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna have a coffee, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start trying to read the Bible every day online. And what I've had to do because of copyright stuff, it's crazy. Copyright law. You cannot, if you live in the UK, you need permission from Cambridge University Press to publish the whole of the King James Version of the Bible um, in any form, electronic, written, or whatever. So I'm going to read through the Bible in a year. Well, I'm just going to read it every day and see how I get on. Because there's no point in making a rod for my own back. If I get 3 days into this, and on top of everything else I'm doing, taking half an hour a day to read the Bible publicly becomes a problem, then I am going to exhaust myself. But I'm going to try to do that. But what the point I'm making is I'm going to use the American King James Version because there is no copyright on that. It's copyright free. So you can publish anything from the American King James Version and you don't have to pay a penny. By the way, Trish, thanks very much for that super chat there. It's massively appreciated. Do us a favor, guys. Follow Bess's YouTube channel. And if I can ask if you haven't subscribed to Counter Media. There's 400 people on this channel. If you're looking at this on the Richard Inman channel, dive across to Counter Media, the Counter Media YouTube channel, and just subscribe to Counter Media on YouTube. That'd be awesome. No, ESV, you get a copyright. It's copyrighted. ESV, NIV, New King James Version, they're all copyrighted. The only one that you can use freely in the UK without getting dinged with a copyright infringement is the American King James Version. And if you were in the south of Ireland, if you were in the United States, if you're anywhere else in the world, you can use the King James Version. But if you're in the UK, you can't. You can't do it. Yeah, do you know what? This is me being focused, believe it or not, Jenny. This is actually me being focused. So doing this and then reading the Bible, because it's all part of the same master plan. Because to me, the plan is we re-evangelize the country for Christianity. We get the political party up and running, and we've got to do all these things at the same time. We do the street movement, we do the evangelism, we do the UK freedom movement, we do Advance UK, we do the pledge, and we do the Bible stuff as well. And okay, let me know about that. Do me a favor, send me links to those, Grace. If you got the email address, you should have it. Send me the email address to those if they're copyright free. What's the not true? What's the the Web Bible and the MSB, but I don't know what they are. But anyway, the American I'm going to use the American King James version because I know for a fact that's Civnats are finished. Okay. Oh man. Oh dear, dear, dear. No, do you know what? Oh. Anyway, right. Right, guys, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do another stream on the same channels, and um I'm gonna be reading from the World English Bible. Okay. That's what is the okay, look, what I'm going to do, I'm going to dive off this. I'm going to jump on. I'm going to do a little bit of Bible reading, yeah, and then that's going to be me for the night. And I'll see you guys in the morning at 8 o'clock. So if you want to listen to me read the Bible and stumble over my words, let's see what happens. Okay, guys, see you soon.